Ted Guy here with a Photoshop tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be going over the tools bar. First and foremost, the first option on this tools bar is the move tool. What I do recommend with the move tool is to select the two options on the top, which is auto select by layer and show transform controls. This will allow you to select layers on an image without having to go to the layer palette, and you can also use the transform controls to make adjustments to those layers as well. The next tool that we do see on the list here is the marquee tool. The marquee tool allows us to select a certain portion of an image and either make a new layer off of that selection or cut or copy from that selection. We may also add feathering. Feathering adds a nice effect to images. As you can see here, it shows a little bit of feathering, and if we hide these other layers, you can see the complete feathering effect. You may also do this using the elliptical tool, which will allow you to do the same feathering but circular instead. The next tool that we have available is the lasso tool. The lasso tool allows us to make a selection, but it allows us to make a specific selection by freehand drawing that selection by just tracing that portion. The other lasso tool is the polygonal. Polygonal uses straight lines, but same idea and concept, where it allows us to make a selection. And the next tool that we do have available is the magnetic lasso tool. This one can be useful for making a selection on specific edges, and it will try to automatically make the selection for you. So as you can see here, if I wanted to make a cutout of the Grim Reaper's head, I could simply use the lasso and it will try to latch on to the corners that it detects where his head is located, in which case I could copy and paste, and now I have a cutout of just the head. The magic wand tool. This one will also do auto selection. As you can see, it did auto select when I clicked in the gray area, but again it did get part of the gas tank. So what I could do with the magic wand is bring down its tolerance. When I bring down its tolerance, it will try to select less. It takes less sampling of that portion, so we would have to kind of fiddle with it a little bit in order to get it to try and select just the background without the motor itself. So if I wanted to be a little more precise, I can click in all these little areas here and make a little bit better selection than using the system to do it all for me. And then what I could do is be more precise with this top portion by using the magnetic lasso tool. So you can really combine tools to get a great job in. And what I would want to choose is to add to this current selection and simply go around the gas tank. And as you can see, it did do the cutout, and so it did fill in everything around it with this crazy design, and again it did fill in most of it with parts of the motorcycle. The next tool we have available on the list would be the crop tool. I will skip over the slice tools. Those are used for developing, useful for developing website templates. With the crop tool, it is quite self-explanatory. It allows you to crop out a certain portion of an image, and now I have just an independent image of just the motor itself. Some of these other tools are just extra tools to help you make things a little bit easier through Photoshop. Next tool we have available on the list here is the spot healing brush tool. This one's very useful. Quick repair an image without having to do too much work. So for example, let's say on this carpet, as we can see, it has a red stain here. What we can do is select that stain using this tool, and what you'll notice is it will take samples of other portions of the carpet and also do some contrast adjustments to remove that particle from the image itself. And this works for not just, and this doesn't just work on stains, of course. This works on just any removals you want to do to an image where you might find it useful and a little bit quicker than trying to clone it out. The next tool we do have is the healing brush tool. The healing brush tool does quite the same as the spot healing, but this one allows you to select from a certain portion of the of a texture. So for example, if I want a certain part of the carpet to be used, I can select that part, and then like a automatic paintbrush, I would just paint over. So for example, this portion on the top here of it looks like a vacuum or something. I could try to, erase that part. Now mind you, this tool does go by color and contrast, so as you can see, it is removing the device itself, but what you will notice is that it has a little bit of a gray tint to it, since originally what was there was gray. So what we could do is, now that we removed that object, we could make a selection with the spot healing brush, and this will automatically change the coloring a little bit so that it matches a little bit better. The next tool we have available with some of those healing tools is the patch tool. So for example, let's say we want to make this gal here, which looks like she spilled a drink, make her look stupid. What we could do is select around this the cup with all the stains and everything on the carpet. We could select that and simply drag. Now as you can see, most of the stain is gone, so it literally looks untouched. Like now, as you can see, she's pointing at the ground, and now she looks stupid because there's nothing there. Another thing I find useful with the patch tool is to remove certain things on images that you just don't want. What I could do is make a quick selection of just that bar, and try not to select anything else around it too much. And what I can do now is drag, and as you can see, it literally removed that writing that was there. Now it is a little bit offset, but in certain images it works really great, especially for removing those timestamps or other lettering or other objects that are on repeated textures. The red eye removal tool, this one's quite self-explanatory and easy to use. You would simply click on the choose the red eye tool and then click on the red portion of the eyes, and it will try to match by coloring the pupil and kind of blend in so that that red eye doesn't look so bad. If you are in a rush and you just want to do a quick red eye removal, you can simply use that red eye tool and select the red portions of the eye pupils, in which it will automatically try to remove as much red as possible from the eye pupils. The next tools going down the line is pretty much the brush tools and the pencil. Those are self-explanatory, just for drawing. The color replacement tool can be pretty useful for replacing certain colors in an image. So for example, if we wanted to turn this car into a different color, we could use the color replacement tool, and as you can see, it does a decent job. Of course, what it's doing is it's picking up certain contrast levels, so it may not give us the greatest job of all, but overall, as I'm painting over, it's trying to detect the coloring so that I don't have to be so precise with it. So if I was in a rush and I'm trying to do this quickly, I can repaint a car literally, or repaint anything in general that has solid colors to it. The clone tool is a very useful tool for cloning a certain part of an image onto another part. So for example, if we wanted this monkey to have a twin monkey, we could simply do a little bit of cloning and clone in a twin monkey to hang out with him. Along with the clone tool, another tool we do have available is the pattern stamp tool. This allows us to pretty much just kind of paint a pattern anywhere we please. You can most definitely add your own patterns, and useful for doing special effects on images and whatnot. Now there are a few other tools we do have available, and again I am skipping over some of these, just going over the common ones. The blur tool can be useful for blurring out a certain portion of of an image. So for example, if we wanted to blur out the face on this image, we don't want anybody to know that it's Jay-Z standing here, we could just paint over and it would create a blur. It's nice to have the blur tool so that way you can do more detailed work rather than using the blur filter, which does a whole entire area, but the blur tool lets you do precise blur effects. The sharpen tool, this one sharpens detail in an area. We can also use the smudge tool, give it a little bit of a smudge effect. If used correctly, you can also use this for like motion effects and whatnot. The next tool is the dodge tool. This one pretty much it kind of like it like wears the color out. The burn tool does the opposite. It will darken it a little bit. The sponge tool will gives it a saturated adjustment where it looks black and white instead. Some of these tools are more used than others, but definitely give them a try. Kind of mess around with them a little bit. If you have any further questions or concerns, definitely send me a message on my blog at tutguide.com. And thanks for watching.